Hey, Chandra.
Hey G, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, sis?
I am well. I am well on this wonderful, wonderful day.
I'm so excited as usual because we have another exciting episode of the Passion Project.
Absolutely, absolutely. I am so excited about this project and our opportunity to talk to educators across the globe about all the amazing things that they are doing inside and outside of the classroom, the schoolhouse, the university, all of that stuff, because
Yeah,
you know how we feel about uplifting the voices of educators.
indeed, indeed. Who's with us today?
Ha, 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 ha. So today we have the wonderful, the magical Julia Andrews coming to us from the great state of Texas, most
Uh-oh,
definitely.
uh-oh. Okay.
And sis has got so many things going on. I'm gonna have to let her tell her story. I'm not even
Yeah.
gonna go there. I'm gonna have to let her tell her story.
So we're welcoming everyone, Julia Andrews.
Hey,
Welcome. Hey.
welcome to Real Talk, Real Time, the Passion Project. We are so excited you are here with us. Welcome,
Yes,
welcome, welcome.
yes.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for this invitation and opportunity to come and speak. Thank you.
You're welcome. We're just happy to have you. Tell us a little bit about your educational journey and what got you to where you are today.
So I am a 20-year educator. I'm originally from Davenport, Iowa. I graduated from the University of Northern Iowa with my bachelor's in elementary, middle school, a BA, and then I student taught in Houston, Texas. I lived with my aunt for about 6 months and student taught in a district not far from her house. And as I was student teaching, the teacher, she had to resign due to medical reasons. And so they held the job for me, and I kind of just slid in a position once I was done student teaching. I stayed in that district 9 years. And then I followed my principal to a larger district, Houston ISD. I moved from 8th grade to 4th grade, taught there for about 4 or 5 years, and then became an assistant principal for 2.56 years. Burnout was real. And I needed to take care of me. And I found a different track where I could pour into more educators and students and families. And that led me to be a school culture and climate specialist. So I did all things SEL, focusing heavily on restorative practices, mental health, and kind of training our teachers and students and parents on the importance of relationships. I did that for exactly 2 years, and then my current boss, he retired, and I applied for the director position and got it. And so now I oversee just a small but mighty team of 3 people, still doing the work, school safety. So we focus on physical school safety, so school threats, active shooters, school safety audits, and then the other side, emotional safety, all things SEL. And then in my free time, if I have any, I'm a doctoral student, so I'm currently working on my dissertation. And when I'm not busy doing that, I'm the president of the Houston Area Alliance of Black School Educators. And so I guess I sleep 4 to 5 hours a day, and then I'm up trying to save the world. And I have a dog. I'm a dog mom. His name is Carter James, and it's just he and I. So you may hear him tap along, or he may even try. He likes to see what I'm doing. So that's a little bit about me and how I got to Houston and how I'm still here.
Awesome.
Absolutely. You know, you talked about school safety and emotional safety, and, you know, given kind of where we are and the current state of education, G and I talk a lot about what that means for educators, right? So what it means for us to be able to do this work, to sustain ourselves, that we have to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves, emotionally, mentally, and all of those things. And I know this is one of your great passions. And so I'm curious, just talk to us, tell our audience, what led you to this particular work and this focus around social emotional learning and care for educators?
So, as an assistant principal, I felt like it was insanity. We were doing the same things over and over and over, and we were not seeing results. There was no change. We were having issues. We would address the issues. So it was constantly like putting out fires. And I look at pictures of what I looked like as an assistant principal. Like, I don't even know what I was thinking half the time, if I was even in my right mind, because as soon as I hit the door, it was like fire after fire after fire. And then the same thing with teachers. So the revolving door, and this was before the pandemic, teachers were constantly leaving, or we weren't having subs come back. And I said, no, we've got to focus on the culture and the climate of our school. But because districts have so many parameters, curriculum, testing, academics, all of that comes before putting us first. And so when I stepped outside of being an assistant principal in the role, I told my then boss, I said, I want to be able to pour back and provide training and support for our teachers, but not only our teachers, our parents and our students. And so one day we got a call from our juvenile facility in Harris County downtown, and they said that they really needed some training with their students and in SEL and with the officers that were in there. And so we had to go take a tour because they wanted to make sure I was going to be comfortable working with the inmates, the juveniles. And so when we went, the inmates were calling my name, and the guard was like, "Ma'am, do you know anybody in here?" I was like, I shouldn't know anybody. No, I shouldn't know anybody in here. But I turned around. It was 4 of my students in jail right there in the juvenile facility. And I just went to hug them and embrace them. And the guard was like, "There's no touching." And I was like, "No, these are my babies. How did you get here? Right. What happened?"
Yes.
And long story short, I'm very passionate about school to prison pipeline. And so I had a hand in their introduction to the school to prison pipeline, because as the assistant principal, we had a really big fight, issue consequences, and then that turned into the district attorney picking up charges on them, and they were there 3 years. One is dead now. He got out, of course, and then he was killed. But I say all that to say it all goes hand in hand. And so how can we start early enough to identify not the behavior, but what's causing this type of behavior? Like, what are triggers? So when we think of school safety, a lot of people just think of the physical school safety, but we've got to start with the heart work as well. So, and that takes all stakeholders. And so that just kind of leads me to my passion of this work of how can we dismantle the school to prison pipeline? How can we now with COVID support our teachers who are giving their all every day, and then our parents who are having to do even more. So it just fuels my fire every day to get up and go to work, and then work for an amazing organization of educators who we support around the Houston area. I just feel like it truly takes a village. And when we work as a community, we are so much stronger together. And so that's kind of just what thrives me every day.
Wow.
Go ahead.
I just have to take a deep breath because chills all up and down. As a former assistant principal, I totally hear what you're saying. And I just remember literally being in front of a parent. She's crying, I'm crying because her son was arrested in my school. That led to, some other pieces. And one of the hardest things you ever have to see as an educator is, one of your students be arrested, end up in a facility and worse, right?
Yeah.
And I am just so touched that you went into that facility and just offered hugs and love, right?
Yeah.
Because Lord knows our kids need that. They need
Mhm.
to know that we're loving and supporting on them all the time. And I hope and I pray that we are doing so much more of that hard work in the school side so that they don't end up on the streets in
Yeah.
juvenile facilities and worse, because I mean, that pain, it never leaves you. It
Never,
never,
never.
ever leaves you. You brought me right back there. And
Mhm.
thank you.
Mm.
Thank you for the work that you are doing and the embrace of those kids in the community. So I just had to stop there and breathe and say that and breathe life into it. Um, and to make sure that we are reminding our educators that that is some of the most important work we do every day is on the side of taking care of our kids and our
Yeah.
families.
Yeah.
Like is you can't get to all the academics unless you're making sure that we are taking care of our
That's
kids,
absolutely right.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, in real ways, in real ways. So go ahead, G. I know I just, just had to.
No, no, we are passionate about this work, and so we feel passion, right? When we see it, when we hear it, when we sense it. And what I'm hearing in your story is that you have this great blend of something that's really important to you, but you get to do it in your work, right?
Yeah.
You get to blend the support and the needs of the community, the parents, the children, the staff. Um, what what has been the fuel for you, because this is heavy work. It's kind of like what Chandra and I are starting on Real Talk Real Time was about, because we had the heart for the educator who was out there doing the work, and so you're doing that in your work life. So
Yes.
how do you sustain the work that you're doing to help others while not losing yourself?
So I think that's you don't something I told someone just the other day. You really don't know um how stressed you are, or how heavy things are, the lifts you have, until your body kind of just truly shuts all the way down, and then you can't move, and you all you can do is rest. And so um my passion is just so fueled, but what keeps me going is when school districts continue to call us for this work. So it means that you realize it's going to take everyone to support not only our students, but our teachers. So we can't move a culture in our building if our teachers don't feel safe, and that's physically and emotionally.
Mhm.
And so it just brightens my spirit that finally districts are and school communities are seeing that we have to work on the heart first, as we say, the heart work, before we can do anything else. And I feel like COVID really led us there. We didn't know what we needed until we didn't have it, and then we were scrambling for it.
Yep.
And so now I appreciate that we're always so busy. But that also helps me in my life as a doctoral student, because I'm writing my dissertation about this. So it's real life in the work, and so I can defend everything that I'm writing about because I'm living it.
Mhm.
So that's what really helps me. I had a student. She came to us from Tennessee, and she was an overage student, but she didn't have enough credit. And so when we talk about that hard work, her mom came to me one day and said, I don't know what to do with her. And now she's pregnant. She was like 13, maybe about to be 14. And her mom, like, literally brought her to school with all her things and said, I can't take care of her and a baby right now. I need your help. So I brought this child in my home as an assistant principal, completely unethical, I'm sure, but I didn't care. She had the baby. We had the baby. We were in a delivery. We were 22 hours worth of delivery.
Wow.
I told them no drugs. Let her feel this pain. No
Mhm.
drugs. And then we came back home, and it was the nurture and the love that she needed, that I could tell that I was thankful that her mother said, I can't give her what she needs right now. And she entrusted me with her child and her grandchild to say, until I can get help for me, I need
Mhm.
you to help me. And I don't want her to go into the system and lose her.
Mhm.
And so I don't recommend that, but I don't think that we always think about that side of when we see young moms or young dads and how did they get here? Did the school or did the community have a place for a parent to say, I need help and I trust you enough with the only thing that I have. I'm sending you the best until I can get myself together. And so that really for a year really shifted my mindset on a lot of things of what would we do without knowing what resources to have with a teen mom, a baby, just navigating all that. So it was like a firsthand experience that I had never had the experience of. So now I talk about when we meet with educators, if you have these teen moms, these are the things that they're going through that they need. And I don't ever like to hear when people say the parents don't care, because they do care, but sometimes they don't know their caring and our caring are two different ways of showing. And so parents always care about their children. They don't always know how to help them. And that's where we need to come in. And that's that community. And so that's the heart work that really thrives me, just from the different experiences that I've had in life, and such a, not even like a long span. And now top that with COVID-19. It is COVID-19 and then the social unrest of our country. I always say every day, I never know what I'm going to wake up to. I don't know. And so we have to be empathetic. We have to show grace. And we have to love one another. I think we've been so divided over the last few years that we don't even love each other anymore. And that's just something simple and free to show love and grace. And so that's just kind of where I am. And I think about that as I lead my small team of being empathetic and showing grace, but also taking time for me, because it's heavy. And so how do you find that balance? I'm still looking for it, but I'm trying.
You said so much that we say all the time about offering grace, not just to yourself, but to others. Leaning on that tribe. You spoke really well about that team you have. I mean, just things that we take for granted that everybody knows to do, but it's not the case, which is why we're saying it time and time and time again. And of course, this is all of our first pandemic. And so we just try to choose well for ourselves in the best ways to navigate it.
And, Julia, you're telling such a passionate story of your journey and, your personal blessings that you have given to students and to families. And so I'm wondering now, in your positions of working with teachers and schools, how do you, share your story, and how do you encourage, train, give strategies, right, to larger communities so that they can do this hard work too every day? I'm really thinking about, how do we impact the entire educational system? So what does it look like from your point of view to go into talking to groups of teachers or schools to do this work on that level so that they can continue the work that you're talking about?
I think first, I have to gain their trust, because when teachers hear, and I've been a teacher, when they hear we're going to have another professional development or another training, it's just like one more thing, right? And so coming in with the lens of an educator, and as a former teacher, I know that no one wants to sit through 6 hours of sit and get. And so my trainings, we open it up to a lot of sharing, a lot of storytelling, so that we can gain their trust and let them know we've walked in their shoes. Also, when I go into schools, right before the pandemic, I was working with an elementary school, and the principal had a lot of turnover, and every day it was something. And I told her, stop, let me help you, because she's just, I see what was happening. She was just putting out fires. And I said, we've got to back up, figure out what is the actual problem that is causing everything to come down. And it was, teachers didn't feel the warmth of the school. And I told her, as soon as I came into school, it was always cold, dark, and it smelled. So
Oh.
if I am a visitor coming in and I feel that, what do you think parents, students, and most of all, most importantly, your teachers feel? So how can we brighten this up? How can we get this, whatever I'm smelling every time I come in here, how can we get that out of the school for this to be a safe space and a welcoming space for everyone? And so sometimes we don't take the step back to look at what other people may see. And it takes someone to be very open to feedback and be honest of, I need some support. And that's what I like the most. I'm never going to tell someone you need to do this, this, and this. I'm going to walk it with you. And so my 2-day-a-week coaching session turned into every day I was in the school supporting that campus, because there was such a need. And so my boss was like, wait, you got other work. And I was like, but this school has such a heavy lift and has so much that it needs to do. And I finally see a breakthrough that the leader finally realized, you know what? I can ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. I can't do this on my own. And her teachers started to see her in a whole different light. Empathy is a powerful tool. Showing grace, as we continue to talk about, is so incredibly powerful. And now I see this school thriving because it took some culture shifts and some mind shifts, but they finally realized, academics means nothing if our students and staff don't feel safe, and if they don't feel that love and they don't feel that warmth. We can teach all day long, and it won't go anywhere. And so when educators, when we finally realize that if you get the students and staff on board to building relationships, academics will be easy. You'll see monumental change in your scores, and your gaps will continue, continue to close. So the relationship piece is what I push on every one of my trainings. If kids don't like you, they won't learn from you, as Rita Pearson said. But if staff doesn't feel warm and like you, they'll leave. And right now it's a revolving door. So we can have the treat carts out and give treats to teachers. And I think that's great. And let them wear jeans every day. I think that's great. But that's just putting a Band-Aid on if you're not addressing what really is going on in your schools.
Mm-hmm. Yes, most definitely. I think, we often talk about relationships between, teachers and students and teachers and families. We don't often talk about relationships between and amongst teachers and administration, right?
Yeah.
Like we take that for granted. These are adults, we're doing a job and so on and so forth. But it's a huge difference when you have staff that like genuinely respect one another. Don't get me wrong, everybody's not going to be cozy one, but genuinely respect one another as people and the work that we do, and you can build a supportive community. And I am just feeling so blessed that your district is allowing you to take that time to build those healthy communities, that they really see that as legitimately important and integral, right, to the work that we do. I'm impressed by that. We need to spread that love across the educational systems nationwide. Most definitely.
It's true. So, what advice would you give to our educators? I feel like you sprinkled a lot of wisdom that we all can gain, but we know, and we're hearing that the educators are tired. The substitute teachers are not coming in the building. The paraprofessionals are, they have even more responsibilities put upon them. As we know, the administrators do as well, but we like to address the teachers. What advice would you offer the teachers in regard to SEL?
I think the first thing I would say was remember your why. What made you decide I want to be an educator? What made you say I want to get up and change the lives of our future? Remember your why. And sometimes it's incredibly hard to get up, but then I'm like, if not me, then who? Remembering our why. Most of our students are coming to school every day. They're not missing days. And school is the most structured environment and the most safest environment we can give to our children. So remember your why, but knowing that we can't pour from an empty cup. So if you need to take a day, that's why we have days. Take that day, because your kids need all of you. That they look forward to all of you. And I see teachers who are so incredibly tired now more than ever, and they're just leaving. But I honestly think that they will eventually come back. They didn't know how to deal with the burnout. We didn't give them the tools they needed to address the burnout. We just kept putting on them and not telling them, you know what, it's okay. Yes, we are limited with subs. I've even seen superintendents now going in to teach, and I think that as an educator and as a teacher, I think that speaks volumes to the culture of a district or a school when you see your top leaders like, you know what, go get a cup of coffee, go take 30 minutes. I got you. Because it takes all of us. But for our teachers, just remembering your why. And when you think about your why and what gets you up every morning or what made you go to school for this profession or that one student that you changed the life of, you know, that's our why. That's why we get up. That's what we need to continue to remember. We will get out of this. We will come through stronger than ever. So just navigating through this troubled water right now, but the end is near, I think, for this, and coming out much stronger, knowing so much more. Who knew we could not have to sit in a meeting for 2 or 3 hours? We can just log on and be done. Work from home. That was strong for a lot of people. Some people never returned back to work, and companies are able to do more for their staff. And so thinking about all the innovative things that have come out of this, but truly remembering your why. Parents are sending us the best they have. That's it, the best they have. And those babies want to learn. So it takes us to change the future.
Yes.
So in our time as it draws nigh, first of all, we just thank you so much for being with us today. I know that the Black educators of Houston are happy to have you as their leader. I could just imagine your meetings are laced with SEL. And definitely, as Chandra said, it is very impressive to hear that your district sees the value of making SEL important, not just in the curriculum for students, but in different fabrics and different ways that the district is supporting families, students, and their staff. As we kind of draw nigh, we want to make sure that people know how to get in touch with you. Let us
Yes.
know email that you have.
So email, my email, julia.andrews1922@gmail.com. And I'm very active on Twitter. I'm, what is my Twitter? At the Miss Andrews.
Okay.
Is that my
Okay.
Twitter? At the Miss Andrews. I believe that's my Twitter. I'm there. And so that I really do a lot of my professional work on Twitter, but I'm always open for emails and suggestions. And if anyone wants to get on a Zoom call just to, like, I need help, can you give me a few strategies or tools? I'm always hoping, help our educators. It takes all of us. It really does.
Yes. Do you do any training of the trainers across the miles? Okay.
I surely do. And I travel. So I work for, my district is very unique. And so we're kind of a resource center. So we work with all districts within our county. It's about 26 school districts, charter schools. And I have an amazing superintendent who we can travel. So we can travel to train. I actually went to Boston for a week and got a lot of training. I was at Suffolk University when I first started this position. And so we travel even to help our educators. But one of my trainings is a Train the Trainer 3-day course. So absolutely, we'll travel. Good food, we'll travel. Food is my love language. Pick me up. We'll train and then eat really good.
I love it. I love it because I just know that loads of folks are thinking this and thinking that, oh, it's not possible. Maybe the district is not gonna. We're not. So I'm so excited to hear that this work is happening in places. Yes. And excited that folks can get in touch with you if they're interested in learning more or trying to begin this work or move this work in their district, in their school. So I thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And if anyone is interested in getting in touch with Chandra or I, You can find me on Instagram at Coach G Live. Chandra, you want to say where you are?
Yes, real simple. It's just my name, Chandra underscore Joseph underscore Lacet. And as always, most definitely, please check us out in our Facebook forum. Please, Real Talk, Real Time with Chandra and Gorgette.
Yes, and this series that we're doing is really all about trying to help to show, model, and display the work that people are doing in their areas of passion. Some of that is in the classroom, some of that is outside, and this is a great example of how it's been meshed in both professional and outside of the classroom. And so we thank you, future Dr. Andrews,
Thank
Yeah.
you.
for choosing to be with us today. This is another fantastic episode of the Passion Project, the Real Talk, Real Time with Chandra and Gorgette, which is all part of the Real Talk, Real Time Educators Forum. So thank you for joining us.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank
Hope
you
that
so much.
everyone gets to join us on another episode. Bye bye.
Until next time.